Every season on Zedcraft, we collaborate and make a massive gaming district called Willy World, named after Zedaph's worm character. The districts are always full of a huge variety of Minecraft minigames, all made in survival. This season we once again have it in a separate multiverse dimension, and the district spans a few different islands. My goal today is to begin planning out the hub area for this gaming dimension. So I'm here at spawn, and it looks like we've got some British weather here, which is nice. Makes me feel at home. But as you can see here, we have this portal here. So this is the portal from the overworld into our gaming district dimension. So here you can see we are in another world, kind of like the Nether and the End. It's just a fourth dimension that we've created here. And as you can see, this start bit is maybe a bit of a mess. We started planning some kind of colour wheel teleporter where we were thinking we would have 8 teleporters to the islands, but this ended up a bit too small, and I want to do something different for this starting hub. We also have the rules here, and I did get somebody to build a temporary teleporter. So currently we only have one teleporter, and this takes us through to where the first games are. So here you can see we've already got lots of games popping up in the district. We're actually ready to open up the second teleporter. Things are starting to fill out so much. But if we come back through here, this area here is what I want to work on. And I want to build something completely custom. So I'm not going to stick to the island layout. I want to build something up on top of the island and over the water. And so while I tidy up everything that's here, I'd like to take you to a drawing I've made where I'll talk you through my general ideas for this area. Here is the layout that I've kind of been doodling. This is a rough idea of what I do want to build. So here is the portal. This is the portal that we already have. I have it written here that we will have stairs on both sides. Currently we just have the one side. The way that people normally enter the portal, they will face up here. So most players will come out and face this way. And what I want this to be, this little square, this will be a notice board. And behind that, we will have the rules for building in the district. So the idea here is if somebody new joins a server and they enter the portal, I want them to see all the useful information straight away, so the notice board and the rules. However, if somebody comes to Willy World quite often, I still want them to see the notice board because I can use this to say, oh, there's a new game here, go check it out. Or there's an event in 2 weeks' time, or, stuff like this. Or this person wants help with this project. We can use this notice board for really useful things. Now, around the bottom here, we will have 8 different teleporters. These will teleport to the different islands. They will be color-coded and numbered, so we can say, my game is in the red island, it's number 3. Players know that they can just come here and go to the island straight away. And so even though I want players to see the notice board first, I do want them to be very close to the teleporters. So these lines on either side are supposed to be stairs up. This is mostly going to be a very flat build, so I wanted to add some different levels of elevation here. So I think this will be a very flat area, and then you will walk up quite a few stairs to get to this next section. And once you get up here, you will enter the main square. Now, I want this to be a very plain area. This whole square is not going to have much in it. It may have some decorations, some trees, some plants, benches, that sort of thing. But ultimately, if people are gathering for an event, I want this to be just like a free open place for people to chill out. But in this square is where you will access a number of different buildings. So if we start with this square at the bottom here, this is going to be the Olympic torch. Now, I don't know what this build is going to be. Last season we had a trophy to fit with Zedaph's Zedvancement theme, so it'll be something like that. I'm hoping it will be tall so that you can see it behind the rules when you're looking from the portal, and so that you can see it from anywhere in the hub as well. So I want this to be quite a landmark thing. Maybe there'll be some fun redstone involved to light the torch. I'll probably get some help with this one, but yeah, if you have any ideas on what Zedaph or Zedcraft themed thing we could do for a torch, do let me know. And if we go clockwise now, we will have some lockers. So this is a place where if we're running a big event where people don't need to carry their items, they can come up here and drop off all of their gear, maybe set their spawn as well. Up next, we have a spare building. I think I've covered every building that I want to do, so I'm quite glad to have one spare just in case I've forgotten something. But yeah, for now that is blank. The next spot here is this team area. So this will be kind of Zits themed, although it's not going to be. I don't want to have the expectation that we will have guests this season as much as we would love to have them back, but it will be really useful to have this team area for the 4 different team colours. Pink, yellow, red and blue for the Zits colours. We also use them in a lot of our minigames that are 4 players. And we did a team-based games league last season, which I definitely want to do this season. So this was where we split the server up into 4 different teams. We had a random team selector in here, which I would also want to be built here. And we had a scoreboard, which we can have built here as well. So anything to do with events where we need 4 teams, we will be using this team area. So next up, we have the podium area. So for this, I'm hoping this will be a really tall area because it's not going to be a building like these, but I still want it to stand out. So the idea here is we will have some steps up to a higher platform, and then on that platform, we will have the podium with these tall 3 platforms. And then behind that, we will probably have a wall matching the theme of the walls that we will build around here, and maybe behind that or above that we have the Olympic rings. This area will be like a main point of focus when you're in this area, so I want it to be striking, I want it to be big. I'll also build in some like firework displays and stuff like that, so this is going to be an important part of this build. Then I've put that we will have some foliage here because I don't want buildings to the side of this, but I do want to kind of still fill the area out. Next up, we have the museum here. This will be related to the events that we run. So when we want to have a record of who participated and who won, and if we got any guests, anything related to the guests, we will store here in the museum. Next up, we have the gift shop here. So this isn't exactly going to be a shop, but this is just a place where players will be able to share pom-poms and other kind of fan-related items, maybe commemorations of certain events that we've done, that sort of thing. That's where the gift shop will come in. The items in here will be a very collaborative thing. People can bring all sorts of things to share. And then the last thing here is a storage building. So this is not storage for events, that's what the lockers are for, but this is storage for minigame materials. So let's say somebody has a bunch of like punch and knockback enchantment books. Those could be useful for minigames. So they could maybe bring those books in, store them here. Someone might also bring in some armor from a mob farm that could be useful for games. Someone might bring in some breeze rods because I know those are very popular for games as well. So this is just like a collaborative storage for anyone to, share resources. So all of this area up here is going to be one big flat platform essentially. This part is going to be lower, this part is going to be higher. And one final feature that I want is I want this to be like a playground. So I'm thinking of making it a bit like Assassin's Creed. So I want players to be able to climb up to the 2nd floor of the museum, climb out of a window, parkour over to the gift shop roof, maybe parkour over something that then brings them to the torch. Maybe we have a bunch of like balloons floating around. Maybe people can climb along the trees in the foliage to get to the podium. I want it to just be this kind of parkour playground. Not necessarily a minigame in its own, although we could do something with the exploration, like an Easter egg hunt. But mostly I just want it to be a fun place to run around. If we're playing minigames, one minigame finishes early, another game is continuing on for another 10 minutes. I want the players who are done to have something to do. They can come here, they can run around, they can jump, they can have fun while they wait. Same as when we're starting an event, you know. Players can show up here, store stuff in their lockers, and then just jump around and have fun, for a bit. So that was a lot of talking. And not very much Minecraft, but I hope that sounds good. I am really excited for it. I think it's going to be an interesting layout. And I think because we've got all of these different buildings here, I might collaborate with people. You know, I don't necessarily need to build all of these things. As long as it all kind of fits the same vibe, I'm happy to get some support. So we're back over in the gaming dimension, and as you can see, this is looking a lot tidier. I've also brought lots of materials here, but first of all, I want to build these stairs, but on the other side. Yeah, so this is the other side now. You can see we've got the quartz here instead of the glass. I'm not sure I like that better, but for now that will do. And just to show you that both sides work, if I come through here and then turn around, I can step off on this side, and this is where the teleporters will be. So of the resources that I've brought, I've also brought some wool. Now this is just for marking out the different sections. So what I like to do is I like to have blocks one layer underneath where the actual floor will be, and this is just like a foundation. So I can plan out the oval for this first part with the wool. Once I'm happy with the shape, then I can begin building the floor and the walls. And this portal here is already 17 blocks wide, and I definitely want a few blocks to the side here, because if you come down this way, I want you to be able to walk around this way to get to the teleporters. So we're maybe looking at an oval that's at least 30 blocks on either side. So now let's start planning this oval. So this definitely seems like a big enough gap to walk through. And then we've got the same on the other side. So then you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 blocks here. So that's 11 wide if you include both sides. So this here is 45 blocks wide this way, and then 35 blocks wide this way. So I'm just using an oval generator online to plot this out, and then we'll see if the size looks good enough for what we need. So there's 1/4 done. You can imagine that there would be space for 8 teleporters around here, but I'm not convinced that this is big enough. I feel like this width over here is fine, but maybe we need to make it more circular. So we'll go out maybe 4 more blocks this way. That will kind of bring it in a little bit better around there. Now I did decide to add an extra 2 blocks here and an extra 4 blocks there. But let's take a look at that now. That curve feels a little bit better. That kind of gives us the space. So imagine we've got a teleporter here, one here, one here, and then one here. You can see them all from this area, but they will still be quite nicely spaced out. So now let's build this on the other 3 corners. And this is what it looks like when it didn't line up. Let's try this part again. It's weird doing an oval shape rather than a circular shape, because it's not just the same pattern 4 times. And it lines up. There we go. I'm mostly just lighting it up because some of it does go out over the water. We are in a Mushroom Islands biome, so we don't really have to worry about mobs. But of course, if it gets dark and it's over the water, that's technically going to be a spawning spot. So now that that's built up, you can imagine coming out here we will have some kind of notice board here with the rules behind, and then those stairs will connect up somewhere around here and take you up into the town area. And then if you walk backwards, you turn around, you will have access to all 8 teleporters here to take you to where the games are. So now that we've got this framework, I'm going to build the floor on top of it. And this is going to be a very simple design here. It's a palette you've seen before, stone, stone bricks, and some andesite mixed in. The idea here is I want it to be like a cobbled brick street in an old like market town. The problem is, you might think, well, cobbled, why don't you use cobblestone? Unfortunately, cobblestone is just the ugliest block in the game. It does look like cobblestones, but I think because it's like the first block that you think of when you think of Minecraft, and it's just been in the game so long and used in so many different ways, it just looks more like a Minecraft block rather than actual cobblestones to me. So I think this mixture here will get the job done. I'll just mix the 3 blocks in together. I'm not a fan of mixing in stairs and slabs because I find that the gaps really stand out. Especially if you use slabs, because you actually like drop down half a step when you walk over it. But even the stairs, I find that it looks a bit too kind of broken. So we're just going to use solid blocks for now, and it will just be a flat, simple base. Now, I don't often do this kind of mixing textures together. I know that there are mods that you can install to kind of jumble up your toolbar and stuff like this, but I'm happy to just kind of place the blocks here and there. I feel like I'm prioritizing the bricks, which is probably a good thing. It will look a little bit sturdier, maybe. See, how does that look? Yeah, you see we've got this kind of connected brick pattern here with all the broken up bits. I think that works. I think that works best. It looks like it's a street that people walk down, but it doesn't look completely broken. Ow. Oh look, this guy's made a minigame for himself. Okay. Okay, please don't kill me. There we go. That's another reason I'm glad to have something built up in the sky rather than down near the water. But as you can see here, we've got about half of it done, and I'm liking how this looks. I feel like this type of floor really doesn't grab your attention much. It's very flat, it's all the same colour. The texture is, minimal. There's texture, but it's not very noticeable. And that's kind of the point, isn't it? You don't really want people to be looking deeply at the patterns here. You want them to be looking at the landmarks. You want them to see the teleporters. You want them to see the portal. You want them to see the rules and the town and everything like that. You don't really want people looking at the ground. So for that purpose, I think this works very well. So let's continue and get the rest of this done. And there we go. So now that that's done, I want to start working on the wall. And my thought here is to use some of the new tuff blocks. It's still a grey block, so it will work nicely with the floor, but it's a little bit of a contrast. It's not too much of a contrast, so the actual decorations and details and features will still stand out, but I think this is a better choice than just using like stone bricks for the walls. So I've chosen... Oh, the shaders. Where's the sun? It's funny how with shaders you have to actually consider where the sun is in the sky. So I think these are a nice block, and then occasionally we could have a fancy block. And then we could maybe run these along the top. And if I put a lantern, maybe we can tie the lantern up with every single one of these. I think that works. Ultimately, this wall is to just stop people falling into the water. It doesn't need to be like the best decoration in the world. I'll do something with this on this half of the oval, and then we'll see what it looks like. So there we go. I don't think that looks too bad. Maybe it needs a bit of height variation though. It's a bit hard to work with because we've got all these kind of zigzags. So if you look here, I've had to kind of put the wall back here. If we don't have that there, you end up with these kind of separations, which I'm not a fan of how that looks. So I've tried to do a gap of 4 and then a lantern, a gap of 4 and then a lantern. But I wonder if there's something that we can do in between. Yeah, it's a bit tricky because we're working on a curve. We're not even working on a circle, we're working on an oval. But if we get some more tuff, do we have any... Oh, we've got the mini blocks. Ah, we do get the brick mini blocks as well. I don't want to use too many of these because these are just player heads. Once you go out of render distance, they disappear, and too many of them will cause like frame drops for the players. So I don't want too many, but one thing about these is we can give the wall some texture. Let me try and place it. There we go. So it's almost like a capstone, which the lantern was doing a similar job. Yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about that. Especially because when you get to kind of corners like this, I've been counting how many blocks you see on the front, so this is 4. That's why we've got these spaced apart like this. But then, you know, we're already running on even numbers. But then if we have one there, it's going to seem quite random, I think. I wonder what else we can do for this. We do have a different type of wall that we could mix in for a bit of texture. We have 2 different types of walls. Tough, really. They really flip-flopped, didn't they? They gave Tough no textures for several updates and then just decided, you know what? They get everything. Every possible variation they could want. I'm wondering if we can do something with slabs. Let's get some slabs. And then if we do something like this, you know, it would end up with this kind of ebb and flow of higher parts and lower parts. I don't think it looks very good though. If we keep this as a fence and you've got the slab on top, that's quite interesting. How you end up with this kind of curve here. Could we then do something like this? And then have the lantern on there. It's a bit more interesting than what we had before. But I think the real test is how does it look on the curved part. So let's flesh this out a little bit. So we'll put more slabs here. We will double up where we've got the lantern. We could even do a fence like hanging over with the lantern hanging down. Ooh, let's try that. I really like that idea. So it could just be like that. Takes up a bit of space, but if we hop down, what if we change this here for that? It is interesting. What if this needs to be a block? I'm going to add slabs as well, just a final touch. So that is very sturdy. I'm thinking this looks a bit weird, but I think this is just because it's a corner piece and we're going to end up with a lot of these. But it is fun, right? I think that's a more fun shape. If we get rid of that... I'm so indecisive. That's the worst thing about building in Minecraft is there's just so many decisions that you have to make. Because that is such a like right angle there. But because this shape is a curve, I think we can afford to have quite a simple shape for the actual wall and the lanterns. And I like that. I do like that. So let me build up a few more. Yeah, I think I like that. There's something about the top that's just a corner that bothers me. I have an idea. They give us 85 different tough blocks, but they still haven't increased our inventory size. So I'm thinking if we take these 2 slabs here, and put stairs facing each other. We've made it even taller, but now we actually end up with this kind of curved shape on top. And I think that's a lot better than what we've got here. The spacing is a bit weird, but ideally I would have wanted this one to kind of line up here. It's one off, but if we move that and don't move some of the others, it's, I think this feels okay. And I like the fact that we ended up with one either side of this four corner bit. I think that was quite lucky, actually. So yeah, all in all, I think this works. So there we go. Those are all now the curved versions, and I really like this. It's not quite feeling Old Town to me. It's got a little bit more of like a jungle temple vibe, but I still think it's fun. I think it's a fun decoration. And so we will have that mirrored on this side. I'm not going to build it round this way yet because I need to decide where the stairs are going to go. And there we go. We have them built for this whole section here. So next up we have the teleporters, and I need to decide exactly where they're going to go. So they only take up a 3x3, and I'm just going to mark it first of all with this. I need to make sure that I'm picking all the right spaces first before I set them up. So we will have a gap of 3 here. If we move them together, there would only be a gap of 1, and that's maybe a bit too close. But again, we'll do a gap of 3 here, and we'll maybe move it forward 1. Because we do need to be following the curve here. And then maybe we'll do a gap of 2, but then we'll come down 2 blocks. And we are getting close to the wall here, so maybe we're not curving enough. So then we would only need 1 more over here. I think we can bring this forwards 1, and maybe this forwards. Because if we come in from this side, I do like that you'll be able to see the front of most of them here. This is tricky. It's almost like I want them to be 2 blocks apart, but we've built this centered. It's an odd number. So now we've brought that in 2 blocks. So we've got a 3 block gap here. And then for this one, we would need to bring this in another 2 blocks. So we would actually have this one faced that way. That definitely follows the curve a lot more. So we do still get like a bit of a curved shape, but we definitely need to continue this curve around here. And those might be a bit too close to each other, but let's have a look. No, you see that follows the curve quite nicely, doesn't it? But if I look here, these two feel too close together. This angle looks fine, but maybe we actually bring it over to here. Because here we're still 3 away from this wall here. We've still got this curved shape, but the problem is this now looks like too big of a gap. So what I'm actually going to try on this right side is having them all very close together. So if we go here, this one would actually be here. And then we want to begin the curve. And if we have one that is going to be here, we might want to bring that in another block. Curves are so difficult to work with in Minecraft. So those do end up looking a bit further apart, don't they? Because we've brought this one, if you look, this side is the same width, but from this side it's a bigger gap. How does that look? So it looks okay, but if I just build up here, do you see how it kind of comes away from the wall? I didn't think this would be the most difficult part. Let's get rid of these two. And let's say that we like this one and we're going to build the next one basically in line. So you see here, this is actually like a straight line. And then the next one that we build, if we build that how we did the last one, is that too sharp? Yeah, that just kind of stands out, doesn't it? So for this one, if we do it here, we are actually too close to the wall now. We've ended up closer to the wall than when we were here. But you see how this isn't in the same line there? It's a slight curve. We've still got the 1 block gap from this direction. It's going to feel slightly further away. Yeah, I'm not sure I like that either. Rule number 1, Don't build curves in Minecraft. I definitely think it's better than what we had before, but what I think I want to try now is actually having this be a line. It's just going to be a diagonal, and if we move this one back, I think we can achieve that. It's very close to the wall, but I think that looks quite clean. This place is going to feel very open. And from this angle, even from this angle here, you can see all 4 of these, and you will definitely be able to see them on the other side. I'm going to build the same thing on the other side, and then we'll see if we like it. So there we go. You can see all the teleporters from this side here. When you come out, you can see them all. And then from over here, you can see them all. And I think because it's in a curved environment, you've got the curved wall behind, especially when you're up here, you can see that curve. I think it does still give that curved effect, even though we've basically just built 2 straight lines. My only concern now is that this does end up being a little bit too close to the wall, so I think I'm going to bring them all forward 1 block here. So there we go, it's been brought forward a little bit. I think that still works. Yes, there's a gap behind here. We can maybe put some kind of decoration here, maybe a little bench, but I'm definitely happy with how this looks. So now it's time to build these up, and I'll get to show you what they actually look like. And so here you can see the design I've gone for. It's a very small little UFO. Now I wanted to match the vibe of the portal here, so I opted for concrete and the bright colours, and also, you know, the spaceship here matches the Space Invaders theme. So I'm going to build the other 7 up now, and then I will try to set that teleporter, and we'll make sure that it works. And there we go. We have all 8 built here. I like that we've got the lanterns behind them, really giving them some light. Though I could put like an end rod or something inside. There's an empty space inside. So I might do that to bring a little bit more light here. I also use the 8 colours that I've been using this season, but we do have magenta in this portal here that Codex built. So I'll probably swap the purple out for magenta so that it really matches. And the other thing I thought is I might make some of them different heights. I'm not sure about that actually, because I do like how this looks. And so now you can see that one of these does not look like the others. What we have done here is we have set these blocks to be an end gateway. So if you think about in the end, when you teleport to the outer islands, we've essentially used the same technology here to teleport within this dimension. Now, yes, this is not a survival thing. I've done this as an admin, but we agreed when we set up this dimension that we would have teleporters to the different islands. To reiterate, the games built in this district will all be built in survival mode. We just have a multiverse portal and then these gateways as the teleporters just for a little bit of convenience. But now, if I show you how this works, we can step through and here we are on the first island. And then if I come back through, I will change the layout of this. This was just the temporary build. But if we come back through, we have another gateway here which we can jump into. And ta-da, we are back in the hub. So I'm hoping this will be very convenient for players. They will come through the teleporter here, turn around, and they can immediately go to where their games are. Now, there is one last thing that I would like to do here. So if we come down here, I think we can do it right here. I did bring a beacon. So if we place the iron here and then the beacon there, oh, that gives off light as well. That is good. And there we go. So we can use... Do I like that the iron shows through here? Could maybe do like yellow carpet to hide that. As kind of like a bit of symmetry here. For now, I think I'll leave that. I like that the lighting is going to be, you know, as bright as can be there. And then the final thing that I want to do, I mentioned before that I might put an end rod inside here. But what we can do now is we can place a piece of glass in here, and that will actually change the colour of the beacon. So what we can do here, once we have the teleporters set up, players will easily be able to see which teleporters are active. We don't even have to do them in order. Maybe we decide that one of the further islands will be perfect for a certain project that a group wants to work on. So we open 1, 2, and 7. Those beacon beams will very clearly let players know which portals are active. Yeah, I think that is a good final touch. So everything else in this area I will work on at another time. I'll start building up the frame of where the stairs are going to go behind me there, as well as the town square and all the other good stuff that we talked about. But for now, we've just got the portals in. We've got this area here. I just need to tidy up the temporary portal that we had before, and we are good to go. Now, we don't have much of a Colourlympics update today. The cactus farm has been working but hasn't done a great deal. Same for the wool farm over here. But I do want to check out the sugarcane farm, because last time we reworked the rates in here. We made it more likely that the wool will fire each time. So this is the one score that we will check on in today's episode. And if we take a look in this barrel, we can see that yellow has absolutely run away with this. Yellow very clearly gets first place. Orange tidily comes second here. And then we have a tie for bronze between lime and pink. Unfortunately, the remaining 4 will not be getting any points for this game. So if we take a look at the overall scores, we can see that yellow now has quite a commanding lead. That's 2 golds in a row in episode 7 and 8. Pink has now pulled away from blue and is second on their own. Orange is now in double digits. And green is no longer last. Green is now joint 7th, which also happens to be last. But that's it for the Colourlympics. If we come up here, we can see that these 2 guys have still survived the spikes. I'm not sure this game will ever finish, but I will keep you updated. And lastly, let's head on over to the connections game. So as always, we will begin with last week's puzzle. The goal here is to find 4 different groups of 4. Now the main trick with this one is I included a lot of coloured things. So things where the first word is a colour. So we will start with a simple category. If we select these 4 enchantments here, these are enchantments with only 1 level. And now next, if we look at blue axolotl, this is considered a very rare mob. And pink sheep are also rare mobs, so are brown pandas, and so are brown mushrooms and screaming goats. So this is another situation where we have 5 in a category and we need to figure out another category first. But we do have some other coloured things here. So we have red sand, blue ice, pink petals, and orange tulip. So these are not mobs, but they are coloured things, and that's exactly what they are. Items with a colour in the name. We still have the 5 mobs left, so let's look at the other category. We have thunder, skeleton horse, and fire. Now thunder and skeleton horse definitely go together, and so this category is actually things created by lightning. And of these 5 mobs, the brown mushroom is the one that fits that category. When a red mushroom is struck by lightning, they become a brown mushroom. And so that leaves us our mob category, which is just rare mobs. And here is the puzzle for this episode. As always, the link is in the description. Do let me know how you get on. But the categories we have today are Splash Potion of Weakness, Splash Potion of Harming, Splash Potion of Healing, Soul Sand, Flowing Water, Golden Apple, Zombie Villager, Mushroom, Splash Potion of Slowness, Rotten Flesh, Snow Golem, Iron Golem, Bogged, Villager, Cobweb, and Sheep. I wish you all the best of luck. And that's it for today's episode. I hope you enjoyed this building project. And if you have any ideas that we can do for this hub, especially in the town square area or for the torch, please do let me know. As always, thanks for watching and take care.